Now we sit in the sand holding hands, watch the sunset over the land, and I'm glad that the bright blue water and the brown on the ground and the frown on your face is upside down.
Hello everyone and welcome to session number 5. This session is about permaculture itself. It will talk about what permaculture actually is, and it will give an introduction to holistic system design.
So, what is permaculture and how does it interact with gardening or natural farming, and where it is actually coming from? All of these questions are essential to figure out if permaculture is the right design methodology for you. Everything is gardening, and so is permaculture. However, permaculture is way more than just a gardening or farming technique. It is a holistic system design and a worldview that is guided by the primary directive of permaculture. The only ethical decision is to take responsibility for our own existence and that of our children. Even though taking care of the environment and nature is not highlighted explicitly in this sentence, permaculture design is exactly about this. It is an approach to designing ecosystems that are resilient and self-sufficient while meeting human needs.
To put it in other words, permaculture is a holistic system design approach that works with rather than against nature. Permaculture is the conscious design and maintenance of agriculturally productive ecosystems, which have the diversity, stability, and resilience of natural ecosystems. As you can see, permaculture started with food and food production. The term permaculture is a merger of permanent and agriculture. Food is super essential to every part of our life, culture and basic needs. Bill Mollison already opened permaculture to other human needs in the preface of his book Permaculture, a Designer's Manual. It is the harmonious integration of landscape and people providing their food, energy and shelter and other material and non-material needs in a sustainable way. Going beyond food was already designed into the concept of permaculture in the very first beginning. Even though the first years of the permaculture movement were mainly land-based approaches, pretty soon permaculture was also applied beyond agriculture, food systems or land-based designs. Actually, permaculture can design or help us to understand every aspect of our lives or how society is built and functioning.
Permaculture is a toolbox filled with tools and techniques to design, implement, garden and farms, as well as create sustainable human settlements such as villages, communities and cities. This sentence already gives a first impression how much more permaculture design actually is. Let's break the sentence further up using Bill Mollison's wording. Working with rather than against nature. Protected and thoughtful observation rather than protected and thoughtless action. Looking at systems in all their functions rather than asking only one yield of them. Allowing systems their own evolution. These 4 bullet points resonate a lot with me and the way flowful is living permaculture design. It is not about the short-term return and focusing on one crop. It is more a holistic approach that allows people, plants and ecosystems to evolve to fulfill their functions in a system without pushing hard. Especially the last one, allowing systems as well as people, society, etc., their own evolution, supports also the inner process of letting go of our egos. It reminds us about the human connection and role within the web of life all life on Earth is relying on.
Permaculture is highlighting and balancing these needs in 3 main ethics. Care of the earth, provision for all life systems to continue and multiply. Care of the people, which means provision for people to access those resources necessary to their existence. The third one is fair share, or setting limits to population and consumption. By covering our own needs, we can set resources aside to further the primary directive of permaculture as well as the principle of cooperation. Cooperation, not competition, is the very basis of existing life systems and of future survival. These 3 ethics, or moral principles you could say, are used to guide action and act as constraints. All three are basically the essence of various indigenous cultures. In short, they can be used as your North Star to guide you in each and every decision or action you want to take.
Triggered by the report Limits to Growth by the Club of Rome in 1972, permaculture is looking for ways to live off the surplus of the world rather than mine the core of its existence. One could say the permaculture is turning and shaking the problems of our growth society, our global economy, and the current social model into solutions. The problem might have slightly changed compared to 1972, but even today our society runs on the assumption that growth is unlimited despite the planetary boundaries. Climate change, exploration of natural resources, peak oil, and other environmental problems are reminding us on a regular basis that we should adapt our actions and ways of living in order to stop our and the mass extinction of other species. Of course, permaculture cannot provide the one and the only solution for that, but permaculture can help to design ecosystems and human settlements that are resilient, regenerative, and in a way trying to rebalance the existing imbalance between human and environmental needs.
Permaculture design is a collective term that got its wisdom from three main sources: indigenous knowledge, nature, as well as science and technology. Bill Mollison and David Holmgren are seen as the founders of the permaculture design system, a system that was fully described for the first time in the book Permaculture 1 in 1978. Besides the three sources of wisdom and the report by the Club of Rome, Bill and David's ideas and excitement was based on the environmental movement in the 1960s around Rachel Carson's book Silent Spring from 1962, James Lovelock's Gaia Hypothesis 1960, and Arne Næs's Deep Ecology from 1972. Bill and David were also quite heavily influenced by the natural farming movement of Masanobu Fukuoka, who wrote the book One Straw Revolution.
Permaculture comes without a proper set of definitions, manifested by the ethic, earth care, people care, and fair share, and keeping the holistic system design approach as well as the primary directive of permaculture in mind. People's interpretation is based on their own experience and set of values. That's why it's understood in so many different ways, and all are kind of right, but at the same time not universal. Permaculture, as a holistic system design, will be stable, even though definitions might change over time, adjusting to the new reality. As new problems are occurring, the solutions are changing too. Saying that, it is still amazing to see how up-to-date Bill Mollison's Permaculture Designer's Manual still is. From the topic side, things will not change dramatically, but as permaculture, besides natural and indigenous knowledge, is also integrating science and technical improvements, more appropriate solutions might occur.
Watch the sunset over the land, and I'm glad that the bright blue water and the brown on the ground and the frown on your face is upside down. Sun and palm and leaves on the coconut trees sway above our heads with the breeze through the leaves, and all of these colors bleed as one.